What happened to the smartest kid at your high school? He's a lazy-ass graphic designer for a video game company. He plays Magic the Gathering way too much, and wasted most of his potential playing video games. He also moved back with his mother at 30 years old after a 9-year relationship with an abusive ex. And finally, he's cursed with ADHD. This person is me. Disappeared off the face of the earth immediately. Highest grades in every single class, literally perfect attendance for years, and their name is literally in every single award ceremony. They gave off feminine vibes. My best guess is that they were a closeted trans girl who had extremely high motivation to move out, or something, I don't know. Didn't really talk to them, didn't really know anyone who knew them that well. Haven't seen them since that last day, and I don't think they went to prom. The smartest kid went to an esteemed aerospace university but had to move back home due to medical issues. No idea what happened to him there. The valedictorian, smartest on paper, works as an OBGYN in upstate New York. The most successful, musical TikTok star with 12 million followers. Went to West Point, knocked up his girlfriend his junior year, so automatically disqualified from attending. You couldn't have dependents and attend a military academy at the same time. Not sure if that's still true though. Married the girl, got divorced a couple of years later. Enlisted in the army to fulfill his service obligation. Finally became an officer in his early 30s and is now flying Blackhawks. Got remarried and has 2 kids with his new wife. Seems genuinely happy. The smartest guy in my high school also went to West Point and became an Army Ranger. Sadly, he passed away a few years ago after getting a brain tumor related to the toxic burn pits. I actually did. I was never super close to them, but always saw potential, so thought maybe I could bring him into a business one day. Followed him on social media and kept in contact with him. I've always been the entrepreneur / marketing type, and this guy was just a genius. Through high school and college, we had classes together, and he's true to this day the smartest guy that I've ever known. Like, savant smart. But still has good social skills and was a cool dude. In our advanced calculus and chem classes, when I was struggling to even pass, he'd be getting 100% on the tests, or 115% after the teacher's curve, so the rest of us mortals could have squeezed by with a 70. He also never had to study. He was just naturally understanding all of the material. It was really impressive. He ended up studying physics at Berkeley and of course graduated top of his class. He now works as an insurance adjuster for Geico or Progressive or something like that, making $70K. I don't know if he just doesn't know how to utilize his knowledge or what, but one of these days, if I can come up with the right idea to utilize him, he's the first one I'm recruiting. Kills me to see such a smart guy wasting away at a desk job. Knew a guy who was really smart, but was also kind of a shitbag. He got caught a couple of years back producing a ton of fentanyl at his aunt and grandma's house, I think. I was friends with the guy who had the second highest GPA in our class. He created a business renting out and managing office equipment. I lost touch with him, but I just Googled his business. It's still open, and he's still the owner after 15 to 20 years. Glassdoor says it's worth 5 to 25 million US dollars. 4 years after high school graduation, he was driving back to Yale from spring break, weeks from graduating with highest honors, and then starting a Rhodes Scholarship. When his car was hit head-on by a truck, he was killed instantly. We all believe that he'd be the first African-American president of the United States. Dude, that's a really tragic end to such a bright student. No idea. I got voted for most likely to go to prison. Here I am at 33 and still haven't been pulled over by a cop. One of the people who voted for me ended up murdering his wife by saying his gun went off. And that dude was a gunsmith. She wanted to leave town and become a surgeon. Ended up pregnant, working as a special ed teacher, joined a popular Christian cult, and is still living in the slums with her cheating bald boyfriend. She's a Karen and plays a local amateur women's soccer team. I still can't believe I used to be in love with her. I graduated with 20 other kids many years ago. We had a guy in our high school that was a genius. 4 of us entered a quiz bowl as a joke, and we beat the teachers. We then went on to regionals and did very well against college students. It was this one kid, while us other 3 just watched. He was bored with school and quit. He later got his GED, he lives in a small town, and has worked in the same manufacturing plant like everyone else in the area. Everyone in town knows how smart he is, but he's just like everyone else. It's very weird, and I don't know how to feel about it. You said smartest. The smartest kid in my school slept through classes. Was in trig with him, slept through class, got a 98 to 100% on every test. After high school, he was stabbed to death in a drug deal gone bad in Miami. She was home for Thanksgiving in her freshman year of university. Her parents had just built a new house in the country, and she was out there riding her bike in the afternoon. Was hit from behind, the driver took off, and she was paralyzed from the neck down. Quadriplegic since then. Had to drop out of university. Requires around-the-clock care, can't communicate what's going on in their brilliant brain. Very tragic. He had a nervous breakdown in our senior year. He was apparently found out in the woods near his house beating a tree with the metal baseball bat saying, "I don't want to play anymore." By the time that he was found, he had been doing this so long that his hands were bleeding. He still got many college scholarship offers, but dropped out after his first year. He works at a local secondhand bookstore and is on multiple medications now, from what I understand. Well, one kid I knew in the 90s who everyone thought was special wrote some security program that the CIA couldn't break, so the government hired him. Another I knew became Obama's speechwriter. One of my closest, smartest friends became a history teacher, though. He got into drugs in the first semester of college and dropped out, then kind of just floated through life from a low-paying manual labor job to another low-paying manual labor job for 15 or so years. He then got control of his opioid addiction and worked his way up from labor to site management in the solar industry, and doing pretty well now. Source, it was me. She was a typical good Christian girl. As soon as college hit, she took up smoking and dropped out of the major we were in. Don't know if she finished up a degree. Ended up knocked up and now has 4 kids, I think. Got some tats, isn't married. She's pretty cute, but the smoking and alcohol did a number on her skin. I don't know about smartest, but our class president voted most likely to succeed, shot and killed his fiance's kid, and then offed himself, like 20 years after high school. He somehow tried to slaughter his fiancée as well. I forget the specifics. Obviously, this is quite a shock and a scandal, and apparently he's been suffering from BPD. He was actually quite overweight. When he left for college, he was studying physics, and a couple of years later, I learned that he had lost 175 pounds, became super into fitness, dropped out of college, and became a gym trainer. From physics to physiques. Learn how to lift with the proper angles. I graduated in a class of 18 people. I was co-valedictorian, thanks to social media and my mother sending me to the local paper for years. I can tell you what happened to all of them. 2 are dead, 3 are in jail, including my co-valedictorian. 3 work in healthcare, RNs and radiologists, etc. 1 is a FEMA inspector. She's in Kissimmee right now. 2 work for the Cherokee Nation. 1 is a roofer. 1 has been fired as a jail guard, violence towards inmates, and kicked out of a church as a pastor for embezzlement. 1 is a high school basketball coach. 1 is an openly gay cop in Austin, which I find fascinating considering where we came from. 2 are meth heads who dropped off the map. And I got college scholarships and left my shitty town for an English degree and the promise of the great American novel. Instead, I became a college advisor, married a college professor, and had a great kid later in life. And then semi-retired last year to be that single cook at my son's small private school. Today, I made sour cream chicken enchiladas with a roasted tomatillo sauce from scratch. Truly living my best life. Hashtag class of 88. After graduation from our high school, he did 4 years of university. I went to his wedding right after university graduation. She was probably the smartest girl in our high school. Got a job with Lockheed Martin real quick, and nobody's seen them since. I could see them in a top-secret government lab inventing anti-gravity flight. Whenever I hear about a UFO sighting, I say, oh no, that's just Bill. Found a private equity fund specializing in identifying and shorting companies who were cooking their books and defrauding customers. This is such a great idea for so many reasons. Made millions, retired early, and now executive produces movies. How on earth would he even be able to identify that without insider knowledge? I guess that's why he was the smartest. I'm still in touch with him. Great guy, and truly the most astonishingly competent person I've ever met. It was apparent since elementary school that he'd be a massive success. Anyways, he went to Harvard, then held progressively increasing responsibility as a tech engineer. Eventually became a CTO/founder, and his most recent startup was acquired by a major tech brand that everyone's heard of. Kevin Porter was the smartest kid. His father was an actual rocket scientist at JPL, and he was ripping through calculus in 9th grade and got only A's on everything. I think he was a failure and a social outcast in university because he was just such a maladjusted person. Even other geeks didn't like him. He was the ultimate mother's boy and got protected from degenerate punks like me who smoked weed and ditched school. So, a funny story, there was this kid in high school that I'm ashamed to admit I bullied. I reached out to him in adulthood and apologized to him, and he received it really well. I'm thankfully accepted my apology. I used to tease him. He had greasy hair and braces and wore these ridiculous colored windbreaker pants, like purple and yellow and orange, and I teased him about his sexuality. Anyhow, one day a teacher caught me picking on him and said, you know, he's going to be working for NASA one day, well, you're going to struggle to graduate. Oof. He didn't go to NASA, but he got multiple degrees, including a master's in molecular biology from multiple renowned schools, and yeah, he's doing great. I did graduate, by the way, though. I was 25 or so and met up with some old classmates one night. We met for food, and they say, class smart kid is coming too. He shows up in an old trench coat, fedora tipped down, and with a girl who looks like she's 16. The girl's upset with him because he's distant, talking down to her, etc. They step out to argue, and I ask friends why they're dating if she's clearly not even out of high school. Friends say that she looks young, but she was 18. He comes back in and invites us all to his house. I decline. It seems weird. I go home. A week later, I hear that everyone at this house that night woke up to an FBI raid at 3 a.m. with guns in their faces because the valedictorian had metric shit tons of graphic child images on his computer. The girl he was dating was 14, and he'd been assaulting her since she was 10. He went to prison, got out after 10, and was sent back for reoffending. Graduated 2004. In 2011, She ended up scamming thousands of dollars from students at a local community college. She pretended to be a teacher and had her students pay cash upfront and then told him to meet her at a local coffee shop. He got a perfect score on his ACT, one of like 15 people in the country to do it. Basically, he had his choice of schools and then got handpicked by SpaceX to be a launch engineer just after graduation. Was a really great person when we were in school together. These two dudes hacked into the school server or whatever the hell you want to phrase it like, but got everyone's SNN and whatnot. Ended up with all of their college acceptances revoked. Last I saw, one of them worked at Papa John's. The other went to community college, and then went to a university and got busted for something involving LSD in the chemistry lab. My best friend Bob was the smartest kid in our school. Like, genius level intelligence, eidetic memory, kinda smart. But he's lazy as fuck. Didn't go to college, didn't get a job, and at 25, he moved to Philly to live with his sister. At 26, he joined the Air Force, and I haven't heard anything from him for 10 years. His family says he's living in Philly, but I can't get a hold of him, and he's made no effort to contact me. 20 years of friendship gone.